And if you observe, for us as NRM, we decided to have either zonal or sub-zonal meetings of leaders, and our candidate has not gone to all districts, but leaders from those particular districts have had a discussion or a meeting with him and agreed on how to move, and also have gone back with a message to carry to those people. So when you talk of fairness, that all candidates must appear everywhere, for us ours has not appeared everywhere. So it was the program that was drawn by the candidate, by the party. So the issue of fairness, now in this particular issue, NRM chose that way, and the other candidates also chose where to go and decided that by themselves, not we, the NRM, to decide for them. The issue of the move by the Electoral Commission, whether it's illegal, as Oscar Chihika will add on, but it is illegal, they have the powers. And that's why I've consistently said, yes, they had the powers, they've acted within their powers, but we call for discussion so that we are grown a way forward, especially issues to do with the state-owned media, because they also equally have a role to play as the Electoral Commission. The issue of NRM campaigns ending on the 30th, of presidential candidates meetings ending on the 30th, so 2 days to go, yet the others still had more areas to cover. I think the other candidates actually are going to benefit from this much more than NRM, because according to the timetable for the presidential candidates, the presidential candidate of NRM, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, had already covered those particular areas at zonal or sub-zonal level. So meaning where he was supposed to be beginning tomorrow, that's where the restriction is. Meaning for him, he cannot even decide to go back to those areas. And if he's to do that, he has to do it under the chair of the Electoral Commission, to see how we can fit in the gaps of other candidates. So it is actually a disservice more to NRM than any other. Because for us as NRM, they've restricted where we're supposed to go next, beginning tomorrow. So if we are to say, go back to Yumbe, it means going back to Electoral Commission, and the Electoral Commission looks at all of the program for the other 10 candidates to see whether we can go back to Yumbe. And if not, if there is a candidate in Yumbe for that particular day, then our candidate cannot go back. Actually, it is more hitting to us as NRM than any other. Because if you observe, the majority of the candidates, if you look at the program, they still have other areas to go based on their program. You cannot go to an area as a presidential candidate when it is not on your program. The issue of facilitating flag bearers, that it has not reached everywhere, I would love to know which district, because it is not like all the districts, the money was put on the district accounts, all the districts. So I would love to know which particular district, because there are only 3 districts where we have held on to the money, and one of the 2 of them, they didn't handle well the money for the villages, and we are handling it with them. One district went to the extent of buying the pens and books that were clearly spelled out in the chairman's message or the presidential candidate's message. They procured at district level and went giving these books to the villages. So we learned of it before. Most of them had given them out. And we told him, you didn't have the power to do that, because you're also in any case spreading COVID. Why do you send the books? Have they been sanitized? They said no. We said, now you have gone against the guidelines that we issued. And they had deducted 50,000 per village. So we are handling it with them. Then in another district, they gave money to one of the candidates for the villages, and the candidate parliamentary decided to move alone, minus the members of the structure, and also minus other flag bearers, village per village. We said no, when it comes to flag bearers, then we cannot do that until we have concluded the issues at hand. So then we have also a district where the bank made a mistake and sent money, made double entry. Sent money meant for another district to that district, and yet they had also credited money that was meant to be for that particular district. And when we told them to bring back the money, they had pretexts under different issues saying we have used this 29 million. We also said they should not handle the issue of money for the flag bearers because they had already failed the test. So which particular district? If you were specific, I would have given you the issue because I know what is happening in every district and for what particular reason such decision was taken. The issue of ECs being accused that NRM, this is meant to favor NRM, I've explained that. Actually, it is hurting us more than any other because for us it's like we have been restricted, no more campaigns. Why? Because we are supposed to go next, Wakiso tomorrow, Mukono the following day, then in Kampala, we have been closed. So the suspension affects us more. But as leaders, as NRM, we are law-abiding, we must find a way out, and the way out is door-to-door, person to person. And also the use the media. The issue of where Bobby Wine people have been shot, I cannot respond to that. I'm hearing it from you now here. But what I can say is that every life is important. We wouldn't want to lose a life. So whoever is in charge, law enforcement officers, yes, do your work, but also be protected from those who also want to hurt you and harm you. But also we should ensure that we guard against losing any life. Life is life. There is no rehearsal in death. Once one is gone, is gone. So let's ensure we all work together, we all work hard in whatever capacity or wherever you are to avoid violence and intimidation because it affects many and you cannot choose the reaction of your actions from the other people. The issue of NRM supporters who were beaten in Chiseka, we set up a team that handled this. If they didn't handle it to the satisfaction of the people of Chiseka, we are going to organize, and I can meet them myself during the course of this week, which has started today. So, the issue of the flag bearer in Mawogola, whether we have a flag bearer or not, Councillor Kachika is going to explain. But if nominations were closed and you had not presented a flag bearer, you cannot present a flag bearer. You can only change the flag from one of those who was nominated to another one, like it happened in local governments. When the Election Disputes Tribunal had listened to some of the petitions and brought out rulings after closure of nominations, and it was contrary to what had happened on the ground, the Secretary General would write the Electoral Commission and say, we had nominated Honorable Dombo as our flag bearer, but the flag bearer is Sanso. So that we did, but remember, we had already nominated a candidate. So after the closure of nomination, even in Maugola, as of now, we cannot give a flag unless it is court. Court has the powers. I want to ask Honorable Dombo, give the microphone to Councillor Kachika to explain the legality of the, after he has explained, I will come back to Uganda.
Thank you, Right Honorable Secretary General. I will respond to the first question, which was couched in rather pointed terms. You stated, sir, that there are concerns in the legal circles on both divides that the recent move by the Electoral Commission is likely to affect the, the legitimacy of the whole electoral process. I beg to disagree with that proposition. Number one, you must be aware that under Section 50 of the Electoral Commissions Act, the Electoral Commission is empowered to take actions that are deemed necessary, particularly in circumstances that require, especially in circumstances that require emergency actions. So it has the power to do what it did. What was the basis of its actions? in suspending campaigns in this area. The statement released by the Electoral Commission was clear that it had a meeting, a consultative meeting with the members of the Ministry of Health, officials of the Ministry of Health, who had expressed concern about the rates of COVID spread in particular areas. And indeed, I think it was last week, statistics were released by Ministry of Health, which actually showed that the highest concentration of spread and deaths of COVID are in Kampala, Wakiso, and a few other areas. I think in one day, last week, Kampala alone had, was it 400 cases of COVID. Combined with Wakiso, the number of people that were infected came to about 1,200 plus. And this is a thing that has been continuing on a daily basis. So given that, the Ministry of Health, I understand, requested to meet with the Electoral Commission and bring its concern about the COVID cases and the ongoing campaigns. Their concern, these cases are going to accelerate, if not explode. Those are the circumstances under which the Electoral Commission can exercise its powers under Section 50 of the Electoral Commission Act. Therefore, it is not true to state that where you suspend campaigns in particular regions of the country, that would affect the legitimacy of the whole election. That is not true. The legitimacy of the whole election remains intact, to use that term. Secondly, what the Electoral Commission has stated was that you cannot campaign using the normal social activities, but it has stated that you can still approach your electorates through other means, through media, social media, television, etc. So it is not true to state that the campaigns have been suspended. It is just some form of campaigns, from my understanding, that have been suspended. What perhaps we should be concerned ourselves with, as the Secretary stated, is how, in those circumstances, is there going to be a level playing field amongst all the candidates, given the directives that the Electoral Commission has issued. And I think she has rightly suggested that this should be a point of discussion amongst all the candidates. So, in a nutshell, from a legal standpoint, I do not believe, and it's my professional view, that the act of the Electoral Commission does not affect the legitimacy of the electoral process. Coming to the second question, which was relating to the Morogoro North situation. The Secretary General has already explained what the situation is on the ground. But let me recap. You will recall that the primaries in that constituency, just like all over the country, were held on the 4th of September. That did not happen because of the situation on the ground. There was violence and a lot of confusion, and therefore the NRM EC opted to suspend the holding of the primaries in that constituency on the 4th. Indeed, it tried again on 2 other occasions, and it failed. Until finally, on the 30th of September, they were able to hold these primaries, and Bwana Sodo was declared the victor in that primary election. Madame Shatsi Kutesa, being dissatisfied, filed a petition with the NRM Dispute Elections Tribunal. And a decision was delivered, I think, about 2 weeks later. Why was there a delay? The delay was caused around the fact that the members of the tribunal had to thoroughly investigate the allegations, or the various allegations that had been made by Shatsi in her petition. Eventually, the ruling was delivered on the I think it was on the 14th of October. That was the day when the nominations were happening in the National Electoral Commission. Given those circumstances, and because the situation on the ground in Angola North had been volatile, the decision was taken by the party that they could not nominate a candidate could not nominate a flag bearer for that constituency. And indeed, the Secretary General wrote to the National Electoral Commission to that effect. So, as of 14th and 15th of October, the National Resistance Movement does not have a flag bearer for Maogola North constituency, and Bukanga as well, because of the similar situations. Now, Haile Sodo then went to court to set aside, challenging the decisions of the tribunal and the decision of the Secretary General not to nominate. The court decided to quash those decisions, those two decisions, setting aside the decision of the tribunal and also setting aside the letter of the Secretary General. However, most importantly, the court did not grant an order, which was sought by Sodo, that he be nominated as the party flag bearer. It's called a mandamus. The court did not issue that order. In any case, even if it had, as the Secretary General has explained, it would have been in vain because elections, the nominations have already passed. You see, the electoral process is like a train. Once it leaves the station, it cannot come back. There is only one circumstance, actually two circumstances, in which the Electoral Commission can reopen a process. And this is when I've seen when a candidate dies. When a candidate dies who has been nominated, it's only that circumstance that it can call for renomination. Indeed, 7 of our candidates have passed on since nomination, and I stand to be reminded there is a renomination process, I think, for a replacement of those candidates that has been, and the National Electoral Commission set a date for this nomination. I think it's coming this week?
It was on Tuesday and Wednesday.
It was on Tuesday and Wednesday last week. It is only in those circumstances. So, in as far as Maogola North constituency is concerned, the party made a decision that it was not going to forward flag bearers, and that's the situation. Once it had decided that it was not going to forward flag bearers, then that process, as far as that constituency is concerned, is closed. Whatever the decision of the court, as advised to the Secretary General, and indeed I did in writing, was that it sets aside the ruling of the tribunal and her letter. Apart from that, there is no other effect. Nonetheless, we have filed a notice of appeal. We intend to challenge that ruling because, unlike previous rulings, in these circumstances, when a party member goes to court, we have always argued that once the process has been closed in the Electoral Commission, such an application is of no consequence. It is moot and is for academic exercises. Unfortunately, the court on this occasion disagreed with us and would like to put that record straight by going to the Court of Appeal, which we have done. I think that is it.